Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to the Allegheny Northern in N-scale, and today we're going to do the August 2025 layout update. And you are looking at one of the August projects. This was, if you recall, this was a custom paint job. Well, it was a custom patch job that I did a while ago, and that startup sequence and sound that you heard was the addition of a ESU Loc Sound V5 decoder. And this one was a little bit of a bitch, not gonna lie. And I'm not saying that it had to be, I'm saying that I made it. So what I ended up doing was I had a light board from another locomotive that I wanted to use so that I could use the decoder that I had, which was a 8-pin plug-in, and this had an 8-pin plug-in, but the locomotive it was in didn't have enough space, so I thought, wow, it's a perfect swap. It fits right in here, and yeah, it turned into a disaster. So what I should have done is just gotten an Atlas legacy decoder and put it in there, but that's not what I did because I have two of those decoders, and this is what I ended up doing. The problem with the decoder is that it's actually too wide to fit in here, so I had enough make enough space for it to sit cockeyed inside. The speaker's actually in the front because I didn't want to mill out the fuel tank because that would have been a lot of milling and would have taken a lot of weight out. So the sound part of this was a monster of a project. But I did more than just sound. If you recall, that was painted previously, but I did add. I'm going to take you. I'm going to actually take you off the tripod here and get you a little closer. I added some extra parts, so the addition of an air conditioning, and the addition of some rear view mirrors, and the addition of some separately applied grabs, MU hoses, cut levers, and then if we just sort of come around the back here, you will see there is more of the same. So got the V-bar up here, got the grabs on the side, cut levers and MU hoses, and then there's also lifting lugs. So yes, if you, I don't know if it'll zoom in close enough, but yep, there it is, lifting lugs. So I got those added on, and I'm almost done with this. So the last thing I need to do is add some sunshades, which they didn't have, so I don't have. And I need to, if you look underneath here, you will see there's white wires. Yeah, this is hardwired right into the board, so I just need to paint those wires black so they sort of disappear. But it's no longer relying on the chassis to provide the power to the board. It's running off of those wires. So if you get down to eyeball level, it is noticeable, but otherwise it is not. Okay, so for those of you who missed the story of why this loco looks the way it does, what happened was the Allegheny Northern bought this as surplus from from CSX, and they needed it in service, so they made some very basic repairs, which included some doors. As you can see, they are wearing the primer gray color, and then they simply scratched out the CSX with the NN blue, AN blue, and then they added the AN reporting marks and locomotive number on the front, and then they added the American flag and a blue patch on the back. Other than that, this thing got right out into service, and it needs to go back into the paint shop at some point to get the full Allegheny Northern. But this is now the second locomotive the Allegheny Northern owns, and it's going to be in transfer service between the Allegheny Northern Yard and the interchange railroads of Norfolk Southern and CSX. That little switcher that I have, that little Elco, that is going to be the primary locomotive for the Allegheny Northern otherwise. Okay, if you recall from last week's video, I got sound into this Hornby U25C, and this is so distributed by Hornby Hobbies, and it's got also got Arnold marked on the box. So I don't know if it's an Arnold model marketed by Hornby or what the makeup was. However, I do know these locomotives are not available right now, so if you find one and you've been looking for it, you should probably snag it. I've seen prices anywhere between $150 and $250, so sort of a seller's market on these babies. But the important thing is when I took this apart, it is funky inside. It's not built like your standard locomotive. You know, scale trains and Atlas and Cato, they all look kind of the same inside. This thing had its own deal going on. So I scoured the internet looking for a better way to put the sound in there. And the videos that I found involved a lot of cutting and manipulating and all kinds of things. And there is a much better way to do it. And so I did shoot a whole video on that. And the SD60 that you saw previously with the Allegheny Northern paint scheme in it, well, patched out paint scheme, and those videos will be available this fall on Patreon. So it was quite a process to go through and took a lot of hours and a lot of tinkering. But I am really happy because this is a great little locomotive, and so I'm really happy to have sound in it. The sound is good. Everything fits in there. I was even able to get one of the speaker back boxes, so the speaker's not just mounted in there. It's got one of those little speaker boxes on it as well. And so I'm not going to run this one for you. You saw it in the last video, but it is absolutely a fan favorite. So we'll get it off camera here, but this is I had a lot of fun with this one. Okay, so this is the last of the locomotives that I worked on, and I see that there's still some proof that I was working on it here as my handrail is not where it's supposed to be. We'll put that back. But now have sound in the Central of Georgia Heritage Unit. I have several Heritage units from Fox Valley that do not have sound. This is the first one that I did because I absolutely love the Central of Georgia paint scheme, and I figured, well, we're going to do that one first. The next one up I don't know if it'll be the Conrail or if it's going to be the Red Norfolk Southern. Probably the Red Norfolk Southern because it's kind of, I've got Conrail locomotives on the layout already. This one was a standard install. There was nothing crazy about it. Did not do a video for this. The only thing that I will tell you is that these locomotives, they fit an Atlas decoder with not a whole lot of funking around. But what you do have to do is you do have to have LEDs to extend the LEDs to the front and back because the board is small and it sits in the center. And so the built-in LEDs on the board of the decoder, whatever you want to call it, don't reach the plastic tubing on either end. So if you want to have headlights, which I'm sure you're going to want to, you do need to add your own LEDs. There's solder tabs for that on the end, and if you use the solder tabs, you do not need to also solder in a resistor with those particular decoders. Some of them you do, so you need to look at your decoder to see whether or not you need to add a resistor. But I found some resistors online. I believe it was from the Bezos, and they actually came with the resistors. They're not the small little square resistors. They're the standard round sort of ones. But if you have enough space in your locomotive for all that, it kind of fits. So it's not the most terrible thing in the world. And now that it has sound, that's pretty awesome. I had these locomotives apart. I did use that as an opportunity to do some locomotive maintenance on them. So in addition to adding the sound and that, I did clean them, oil them, all that good stuff. And then, of course, took them into the log programmer and added all of the features that I wanted to and made them run the way they needed to run. So that is the third and final locomotive that I did this month. And I might stop doing them for a while, but I might not. There's still a lot that still need done. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so this locomotive already had sound, so I didn't add sound to it. But what I did do to it was get the headlights working. And I know you're probably thinking, what do you mean get the headlights working? Well, when I put it in, I did not have the LEDs, so I went back and I got LEDs, as I mentioned previously. Well, I was following the electrical schematic to put the LEDs in, and, well, I don't know what I did, but in reading the schematic, it made it look like the purple wire was the common lighting wire, which I know you're shaking your head going, no, 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 that's not right. It's the blue wire. Yes, I know, but the diagram makes the color look purple. And so I had a purple line that said blue underneath it, and my dumbass just tried everything he could to get the purple wire to provide the lighting. Well, surprise, surprise, it does not. So once I figured out that, hey, if you just do it correctly, you can probably get this to work, I now have sound and light in the locomotive. So that's pretty cool because as far as I know, Athearn has not released the coaster yet. It was scheduled to come out, but I've seen other versions of this, but not the coaster version come out. So don't know what's going on with that, but in any event, this one now has sound and it has lights, and that's what it's supposed to have, so we're good to go. I did work on a bit of scenery here, so I got this all plastered back in. This is just some Sculpt-A-Mold to build up the terrain so that now I've got my branch line. I haven't even cleaned this track, but I've got my branch line down to where the Allegheny Northern switches. I got that all kind of plastered in, so that needs to get put back together. There was kind of a mess back there, so I cleaned up my mess a little bit. So all the parts and pieces that were scattered all about, I cleaned those up and reorganized some of the buildings down here to fit better. And now I've just got to finish these buildings in the back here and kind of get that all finished up now that you actually can see. Originally, you could only see this from the front, so I didn't need to spend a whole lot of time back there. But yeah, now you can, so I need to go back there and actually, finish all that. And I have been working away on my port scene and getting the side pilings in, sheet pilings, and then aligning the track and getting that all sort of put together. So it's not there yet. Obviously, you can see it's not there yet. So still need to do some trimming, get some things glued together, add some pieces, readjust some pieces, but it's basically roughed in at this point, so I can start working on all of that and then start working my way across the yard and getting that all sort of situated and the track glued in place. And the track needs to get painted first before I start putting these on. Now, I really think instead of painting this styrene that I'm going to try decals, but I don't know that yet. So we're gonna see how that works. I will keep you guys posted on what I'm gonna do there. But if I come back around here and see that I've got that area painted brown, and then also worked on getting this riverbed together. And so what I'm doing here is just getting ready. This is I'm going to call it the river. It's not really a river. It's going to be part of the ocean. So this is going to be sort of my marshy area right in here that I wanted to model. I think I mentioned it. Then I'm going to have the port over onto this side. And then this is just going to be an inlet basically from the river or from the ocean, kind of like going to a bay or something. And then I've got these, unfortunately I split this apart here, but these are the bridge abutments that I made. Simply just made them out of styrene and used some AK products to build the surround on them. So I've got work to do here yet. Obviously got to get this filled in so that the scenery comes up to the end of this. And then I've got to obviously make some repairs here. And then the water's not poured, so that's just bare, bare plaster there, basically. Okay, so this is my workbench. This is where all the magic happens, where sound gets added to my locomotives. Here's those little resistors I was telling you about. I know they're not as small as the little square things, but you know, they here's the LEDs that I have. They're just LEDs. There's nothing exciting, but I think I got like 20 of them for I can't remember. It was pretty cheap on Amazon, so they were worth it. And they fit great because they're so tiny. So they're micro. They're like if you Google like micro LEDs, you'll find them. But anyway, so here is just so you know I'm not going crazy. There's the diagram, right? Okay, and this is the supposedly blue line. Now I don't know how it's showing up on the camera because it looks a little bit more blue here. Like you can see this one's labeled purple, and it's okay. Maybe it is purple, but the blue line is also purple. And so it was just through happenstance that I was Googling, and in one of the articles, because none of the articles really helped me with what I was doing, but one of the articles reported that the blue common, and I went, wait, blue common, and sort of my knowledge of DCC came back, and I went, oh, that's right, blue is the common, and it was one of those stupid things, right? Like I should have known. So I kind of felt dumb after it, but I was so glad that it worked. I was just like, you know what? It's okay. It's a funny story now. We can tell it. But here are some of the projects that I have on deck, right? So this one needs sound. That's probably going to be my next one. And then I've got these SD40-2s. Like they get the Kato drop in, so they're really easy. And this one gets this is Intermountain, but I think it also gets an Atlas drop in, and this one is going to get an Atlas drop in as well. Although I may try to do the same thing to this one that I did to the other SD60, and that's just because I have. Let me see if I can get it here. I don't want to dump these LEDs because I may end up using those at some point, but I have this decoder. And this is a nano with an 8-pin plug. And so I'm determined to use it because, well, these things are $100, and if I don't use it, then it goes to waste. So this is going in a locomotive. I don't know which locomotive, but I can tell you it is going in a locomotive. So we'll find out which one it goes in. But anyway, I'm not crazy. That line is definitely freaking purple. Okay, and the very last thing that I got done in August was started building a structure kit. And I have not done one of these in freaking forever. Like it was weird to sit down and try to put a building together. And this is I think it's a car shop. If memory serves it correctly, it's one of the viewers who builds Japanese models was able to tell me what that was, because this is one of those ones that's it's all in Japanese, and so are the instructions. And I don't know that having legible instructions would have made a difference, but this kit was actually kind of difficult to build. Not because the kit was complicated, but because the pieces, well, they just sucked. They did they did the two things that I absolutely can't stand when they make a model that they do. One is the injection points were in where two pieces needed to join. So you had to really clean the joint up and sand it really good. And if you didn't, then the pieces didn't quite fit right. And then you had this, it took a lot of time to get that right. The second thing that they did is they had a lot of pieces that were, I'm not going to say they're extra pieces, but they had like little nubs and stuff on the back of the model that actually, there's nowhere it tells you to remove them, but they're part of the fabrication process, and they're in the way. So not only do you have the injection ports, you have where the sprues are holding it together. There's just a bunch of things that you need to clean up to make it go together right. And yeah, it sucked. But I will tell you that the detail on the model is really good. So like the model, this building, when it's weathered up and it's done, like right now it's just got a black primer on it, it's gonna look awesome. So I'm pretty excited about it. But it is not a beginner's model for as simple as it looks. It's not a beginner's model. Let me just take you over here just a second. So here's the instructions, and yes, there's a you know a picture. So it's drawn out, expanded, so you can kind of figure out, well, what what it's telling you. But yeah, you got to sort of just look and figure out what they're trying to tell you here to do. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think, even if you can't read it. But like I said, it's just it was a little bit of a monster putting together. So I'm glad that you can see that I've got a bunch of little pieces here that are all ready to go. There's just details, so you'll see this when it's done. But yeah, there's a and then there's a crane that I have. It actually fell off. It was on the building, but it just kept getting knocked off, so I just left it off. But yeah, so that's gonna be some fun. And here are those locomotive parts that I have to add. And you can, if I can, just for a minute here, show you. These are the lifting lugs, and you can see how small they are. Like my phone doesn't even want to focus on them, but you get an idea of the pieces. So if you're going to do that, and you're gonna work with this little tiny stuff, my recommendation is, and here's the grab irons. My recommendation to you is get yourself a good set of tweezers, because you are going to need them. Okay, so that was not bad for the month of August. So for me, July, August, and September are my busiest months. There's just a ton of things that happen, and there's vacations and family stuff, and it's a really busy time. And I really enjoy all that stuff. So this is by no means a complaint, but it does take me away from the model train room. Yes, sometimes being an adult gets in the way of screwing off. So I've got one more month of being an adult before I can start screwing off again until the holidays. So September's going to be a little busy. So we're coming up on Labor Day weekend here, obviously, and probably going to get a little bit of time in the train room to get some things done. I'm going to continue to work on scenery. Obviously, got to finish this model kit and then move on to the next one. And then, yeah, after that, I'm not sure if I'm going to work on any more locomotives this month or not, because towards the end of the month we do have the N-scale weekend in Altoona, and that is going to take a considerable amount of capital. So not going to have it to spend on other things until after the show, when we see how much damage we do. So that's coming up. So I'm guessing it's pretty much going to be a lot of scenery stuff, and I am running low on a lot of scenery material. So there's a chance I may have to make some few runs here and there to get some styrene and some more sculpted mold and stuff like that. But other than that, that is pretty much the plan for September. So I'm not really going to lay out what I think I'm going to get done, because I don't know. But then October rolls around, and other than having to do some house projects and some leaf pickup, I'm guessing I'm probably going to be in the train room. So until next time, that's what's going to be happening.